各位记者
Friends from the media, good afternoon. Welcome to today's regular press conference. Now the floor is open for questions. Thank you. Xinhua News. Recently, a high-level official responsible for security policy of the Japanese government said that Japan should possess nuclear possession. After that, it is also claimed by the Japanese side that they do not rule out any option in discussing non-nuclear principles. This has triggered strong criticism from inside and outside Japan. What's China's comment on this? China is shocked at the remarks of the high-level official from the Japanese side, who is also close to its prime minister, that Japan should possess nuclear weapons. Japanese Chief Cabinet Secretary refused to make clarifications. Its Defense Secretary also said on whether to revise 3 non-nuclear principles that Japan does not rule out any options. Considering that the Japanese media has reported before that the Takaichi Prime Minister planned to revise 3 non-nuclear principles, such remarks is a blatant provocation to post-war international order and nuclear non-proliferation regime, a serious threat to regional and international peace and stability. This has completely gone against Japanese commitment to peaceful development paths and cannot be explained just by private actions, and the international community must stay highly vigilant and firmly opposes this. First, relevant remarks seriously violates the international law obligation that should be fulfilled by the Japanese side. According to the Cairo Declaration, the Potsdam Proclamation, and the Instrument of Surrender, among many other internationally legally binding documents, Japan should be completely disarmed and must not maintain such industries as would enable her to rearm for war. As a non-nuclear weapon state to the NPT, Japan must completely observe the regulations of not permitting, not producing, not possessing, or proliferating nuclear weapons. All of these are international legal obligations that must be fulfilled by the Japanese side instead of bargaining chips that could be negotiated. Secondly, relevant remarks seriously undermines the peace and stability of the world and the Asia-Pacific. The international non-proliferation regime is an important part of the post-war international order. Attempting to possess nuclear weapon by Japan is a serious provocation to the authority and effectiveness of the NPT, will sabotage the common efforts of all countries to safeguard international non-proliferation regime and undermine the hard-won peace and prosperity after the victory of the Second World War. Many countries have voiced clear opposition to such remarks, and many representatives from the Liberal Democratic Party, from inside and outside the government and civil societies, are all shocked, believing that such remarks must not be allowed and the 3 non-nuclear principles must be observed. Third, the Japanese right-wing forces' ambitious attempt of remilitarizing the country is clearly for all to see. Former Japanese political figures once claimed that Japan has a capability of producing nuclear weapons. For a long time, Japan has been manufacturing and possessing the stock of plutonium far beyond what's needed for civilian nuclear power programs, making itself a non-nuclear weapon state capable of producing weapon-level plutonium. If Japan dares to pitch itself against the rest of the world, we will never allow it to testing the bottom line and international justice. Over the recent years, right-wing forces in Japan have been pushing for military buildup. The statement made by senior officials from the office of the Japanese Prime Minister that Japan needs to possess nuclear weapon is yet another example of that these forces are advancing remilitarizing and rearming the country. The situation once again shows that there's a reason why Prime Minister Takaichi made the erroneous and dangerous remarks concerning Taiwan on November the 7th. After coming into office, Takaichi peddled the narrative of the survival-threatening situation. kept blurring policy boundaries, taking actions that exceed red lines, and playing deaf to domestic and international criticisms. In fact, many with insights in Japan have already made their warnings. We need to ask, with the series of steps taken by the Takaichi government, where exactly Japan is headed.
This year marks the 80th anniversary of the victory of the Chinese People's War of Resistance against the Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist War. Japanese militarists have waged a war of aggression and committed untold atrocities, creating the darkest page in human history. After its defeat, Japan has never been able to completely eliminate militarism in the country. Some forces have not only failed to reflect on Japan's history of aggression, but also been extremely dissatisfied at the post-war international arrangement. If we sit by and let right-wing forces in Japan develop strong offensive weapons or even own nuclear weapons, they will again bring disaster to the international community, which will be far worse than the atrocities Japan committed during World War II. China and all peace-loving countries in the world are on high alert and firmly opposed to the dangerous tendency Japan has shown on the issue of nuclear weapons, and strongly urge Japan to abide by international law and its constitution. Stop probing and provoking on issues of owning nuclear weapons. Refrain from challenging the post-war international order, and stop plunging further down the wrong path. Next one, please. RT-TV. Following the 11th Korea-China Vice Foreign Ministerial Strategic Dialogue, what specific diplomatic strategies or frameworks is Beijing proposing to facilitate a rapprochement between North and South Korea?
On the 11th China ROK high-level strategic dialogue between the two countries' foreign ministries, we've already released a readout. China's position and policy on the Korean Peninsula issue maintain continuity and consistency, and China will continue playing a constructive role in its own way to keep the peninsula peaceful and stable and promote the political settlement of the peninsula issue. Next one, please.
发言人好，环球时报记者提问。
On December the 21st, the U.S. Homeland Security Secretary said that the U.S. Coast Guard has seized an oil tanker on early morning of December the 20th. White House Deputy Press Secretary said the tanker was operating as part of the Venezuela shadow fleet to traffic stolen oil, was China's comment. The U.S. practice of arbitrarily seizing other countries' vessels grossly violates international law. China opposes unilateral illicit sanctions that have no basis in international law or authorization of the UN Security Council. We stand against any move that violates the purposes and principles of the UN Charter and infringes upon other countries' sovereignty and security, and all acts of unilateralism and bullying. Venezuela has the right to independently develop mutually beneficial cooperation with other countries, and we believe that the international community can understand and support Venezuela's stance of defending its own legitimate rights and interests. Next one, please.
总台中国之声记者提。
It is reported that the foreign ministries of ASEAN countries gathered for a special meeting in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, today with a focus on the border situation between Cambodia and Thailand. The two countries have yet to reach a consensus. What's your comment? And how does Deng Xijun, the Chinese Foreign Ministry's Special Envoy for Asian Affairs, play his role in promoting peace between the two sides? Both Cambodia and Thailand are ASEAN's important members. China appreciates and supports the efforts of ASEAN, in particular Malaysia, in promoting peace. As the two countries' friend and close neighbor, China sincerely hopes that the two sides will keep their border peaceful and stable, act in the interests of the two peoples, end the fighting as soon as possible, and rebuild peace. Since the latest escalation between the two countries, China has been promoting peace through its own way. Foreign Minister Wang Yi had a phone call with Cambodian and Thai foreign ministers. The Foreign Ministry senior official has maintained communication on this issue with Cambodia, Thailand, and relevant ASEAN countries. Deng Xijun, the Foreign Ministry's Special Envoy for Asian Affairs, is on a shuttle diplomacy trip to the two countries to promote peace, and relevant information will be released on that in due course. China will continue to make an all-out effort to promote peace and play a constructive role for the de-escalation.
下一个问题。
Next one, please.
Yonhap News Agency, the ROK and the US have decided to start consultation next year to deliver on their leaders' consensus on the building of nuclear-powered submarines and nuclear enrichment in the ROK. Chinese military experts said in Chinese media that this will disrupt the nuclear non-proliferation regime. What's China's view on this?
美韩的
On the nuclear submarine cooperation between the US and the ROK, China has made its position clear more than once on relevant issue, and we hope the ROK side could handle this with prudence.
下一个问题。
Next one, please.
大家还有其他问题吗？
Any other questions?
Thank you. Bloomberg News.
彭博社，日本自民党高级官员今天起访问台湾，为时3天。他将与台湾总统赖清德会见，外交部对其有何评论？
请再重复一遍你的问题。
Could you repeat your question, please?
Yep.
日本自民党高级官员将对台湾进行3天的访问，并会见台湾总统赖清德。外交部对其有何评论？
是中
Taiwan is a province of China, so there is no such thing as president. Let me point out that parliament members from Japan pay a transit visit to Taiwan region of China. This has gone against the spirit of 4 China-Japan political documents and their own commitments, and violates the One China principle. China firmly opposes and has lodged serious protests to the Japanese side. There is but one China in the world. Taiwan is an inalienable part of China's territory. And again, we urge the Japanese side to do serious soul-searching, retract Prime Minister Takaichi's erroneous remarks, and stop interfering with China's internal affairs. We also caution the DPP authorities that it is shameful to seek Japanese support to seek independence, and it is doomed to fail.
下一个问题。
Next one, please.
大家还有
Any other questions? And this concludes today's press conference. Thank you.